This evening we are having a public meeting for proposed cultivated oyster mariculture grow-out site that we're calling Galveston Bay Site B. And the purpose of this public meeting is to provide information on the proposed grow-out site in West Galveston Bay, answers any questions on the site, and give instructions on how to leave public comment. So first, just some background on cultivated oyster mariculture, or COM as an abbreviation. That TPWD permits the activity of COM at either grow-out sites, often called farms, or nursery hatchery sites. This is for cage culture of eastern oyster, and applicants select their own sites and conduct a natural resource survey. And that site selection also takes into account any potential siting conflicts and buffers around those. The permit is a 10-year term with annual fees paid based on the size of the site. Authorizations are also needed from other agencies, such as the Texas General Land Office, Texas Environmental Quality, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, and the U.S. Coast Guard. The harvest and sanitation permittees must comply with all Texas state health services and the National Shellfish Sanitation Program regulations. Here are some examples of some of this cage culture gear that you would see. And cage just mean in a container, not necessarily, these have different names. So starting in the top left here, there's floating bags. So these are hard plastic mesh bags that have different sizes of openings based on the size of the oysters in them, and they have floats on them. Then moving up from that, you have floating cages, which are larger metal structure that then contain those bags, usually 4 bags, 6 bag cages. There are another type of gear is adjustable long lines, so the baskets are attached to 2 lines that are then can be moved up and down in the water column, or the line can be moved out of the water for desiccation. And also flip style cages or baskets where there is one line and the cages are attached by an axle along that line. These are baskets that are similar to the adjustable long line system. They're about 3 feet long, foot wide type baskets, and have a single float on those. So for this site, proposed Galveston Bay Site B, it is a grow-out site with oysters are grown up to market size and harvested. It is located in West Galveston Bay, that is Shellfish Harvest Area TX9. It's approved waters, and that approved waters pertains to shellfish harvesting. It is proposed. Actually, it is a proposed 10 acres, not 5 acres. Apologies for that typo there. In the vicinity map, it is down in the far southwest end of West Bay. And in this zoom in area, the proposed site in purple, and it's approximately just over 2,500 feet from the near shoreline, and just over 2,000 feet from already permitted COM site G0006. For their operations plan summary, it plan on flip style baskets with a 5/16 of an inch polysteel main line. Each main line will be attached to wood pilings on either end with a proposed maximum of 29 lines at the site. The site will be accessed via boat, and also the boat is how they will tend the site and use the helicat system. And over here on the left hand side, a helicat system is attached to a boat, and it runs down the flip style cages, and it flips the cages for them, or also it holds the cages up so that they can be emptied out and cages worked. In this top, this is a little more close up on a cage, and you can see what they call the axle, where the main line is running through that, and you have a cage and a float. Tumbling and sorting will be done on the site on the boat. And for bird deterrence, they propose predator decoys and spike deterrence on posts. And navigational markings will be per U.S. Coast Guard requirements. For the tropical storm plan, when a storm enters the Gulf, checking baskets, axles, lines, and attachment points for any wear and tear or potential weak points, and repairing those. 72 hours in the when they're in the cone of uncertainty, remove any excess gear or combine to reduce the amount of gear, as much gear possible on site, and then adding supplemental platypus anchors to lines as needed, and the number of anchors will be determined based on the factors of the storm surge, the wind direction, wind speed, and the line loading. And those anchors are there to help stabilize the line, but still have enough play that they can move with storm surge. Here's an overhead view of the site layout. You can see on either side of the site, these dots indicate those pilings where each line will be attached, and lines are about 600 feet. And for cross-section view, the pilings will be driven into the substrate, and the cages will float just at the surface of the water when they're in the feeding position, so the float's on top of the water. The cages or the baskets will be just below the surface, and in the drying position be flipped over, and the floats will be in the water and the baskets held up above the water. For the Natural Resource Survey, a side scan was done. Due to the patchiness of the side scan, additional sediment samples were added, sample points were added to provide more coverage of areas that were not covered by the side scan. The sediment samples were taken with a modified PVC pole sampling with a larger, 4 to 6 inch diameter end that is pressed down into the sediment, and then a valve to create suction, bringing up the sediment cores. Here's examples of those sediment cores that consisted mainly of mud shell hash, some sand. There was no evidence of oysters or seagrass within the site or the 500-foot buffer. So the next steps is the comment period is open, and if you would like to submit public comment, you will submit it to oyster.mariculture@tpwd.texas.gov. Comment period is open until July the 29th, and then after the comment period closes, any public comments will be taken into consideration. If all that goes well, a conditional permit is issued. Now, with that conditional permit, no mariculture activity may begin. That is when the permittee would go and secure the authorizations from those other state and federal agencies. Once those authorizations have been secured, then the final permit can be approved and will be issued after the first annual fee payment is received. And that time is when mariculture activity can begin and gear can go into the water. So we're just pause here for a second to see if there are any questions. Again, you'll use the Q&A feature if you have any questions. So we'll just give a section. Okay, so we have a question about the distance from the existing site, um, and if the site holder of, if the, with two sites being within 2,000 feet of each other, or just over 2,000 feet, if either site wanted future expansion, um, how how could that be limited? So generally, with a site, if you will want to be within 1,000 feet of another site, you would have to get written acknowledgement from that other site holder, either ComSite or some other leaseholders, permission to be within that 1,000-foot buffer for a site. A site potential area is not held until there is an application in or there's a lease in place. So, okay, so pause and see if there's any other questions. Okay, and if you end up having questions after the presentation's over, or if you're watching this afterwards, you can also email questions to the same oyster.mariculture email address. All right. Well, Holly, I see no other questions right now. I'll go ahead and hand it back to you.
Yeah, for sure. So again, as we're wrapping up here, if you still have questions, you can put them in and Lindsay will get around to answering them before we log off. If you don't make that, again, you can reach out via email or phone. And you will be getting a link to our YouTube channel where this video will be posted sometime tomorrow. Again, give us about 24 hours to get it up. And the Oyster Mariculture email address will also be included in that email. So I think with that, we are good to wrap it up. So thank you again, everyone, for coming this evening. We appreciate it, and we will see y'all at the next one. Bye, everyone.